Okay, quick one here, folks. Which modern directors, newish directors, are worth following? Because, a lot of us were still fans of like Scorsese or Ridley Scott or whatever, but a lot of those filmmakers haven't really been producing the kind of classics that they used to produce. And so, who among the new filmmakers today are worth watching? Because there's so many crap films, and it seems like the film studios tend to pick directors who are yes directors, as in those who do exactly what they're told and don't do anything challenging. So which directors out there are actually really good and doing a great job? And which directors do I consider to be the current future of movies? I just thought I'd reel this off quickly to you folks in a short video. The first one, I've got a list of about, I think it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I've got 6. No, 7. I've got 7 directors here who I think represent the future of film as far as I can tell. The first is Justin Kurzel. He directed Snowtown in 2012, which I've praised this movie many times. It's one of the most daring and powerful movies I've seen. And he's done a few other films since. And his last one was called Nitram, which is a true crime drama again, but not as brutal as Snowtown, not as disturbing, but still an extremely good film. Great director. Yeah, keep a lookout for Justin Kurzel. A lot of you won't have heard of this guy. He's an Australian director. He's one of the absolute best around. He knows what he's talking about. He's got integrity. I've watched him in interviews and he's a really cool guy. I like him a lot. So I will watch anything that he brings out in the future. I trust him to make good movies. I did see I think it was his second feature film, which was, I can't remember what exactly it was about. It was a historical crime drama set in Australia. I didn't like it as much as the others, but it was still well worth the watch. It was still well directed. I guess it wasn't a subject matter I was particularly interested in. Next up is Ari Aster, who most of you hopefully will have heard of. He wrote and directed Hereditary, which was a stunning first feature film. Hardly any directors have ever started off with a feature film that good. I didn't like Midsummer, his second film, very much. If I remember rightly, he had signed on to direct Midsummer before Hereditary became a hit, and it wasn't really a project that he wanted to personally do very much. I think it was a Swedish film company, I can't remember who, but they had this film idea that they wanted somebody to make a horror out of, so I don't think even the basic story was his idea. So he ended up doing what he could with that subject matter, and to me that's not a true Ari Aster film. But his more recent film, Beau is Afraid, really goes off the rails, David Lynch style intensity and surrealism, and a lot of people don't like it. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. It was too long though. I think his films are too long and he needs to shorten them up a little bit. But hopefully he'll be doing great stuff in the future. In fact, I'm pretty sure he will. I think anything that he conceives himself from the beginning, instead of being given a project by someone else that he has to try and beef it up, I think anything he conceives from the outset is going to be extremely interesting at the least. So Ari Aster is my number 2 there. By the way, these aren't in a order of importance. I'm just listing them. Next up is S. Craig Zahler. He directed 3 feature films, I think, at the moment. One was Bone Tomahawk. The second one was Brawl in Cell Block 99. And the third one was Dragged Across Concrete. This guy's really, really skilled, very talented, a great scriptwriter and a great director. He's brilliant. All 3 of his films I've really liked, and I will watch anything that he brings out. He sometimes raises a bit of controversy. There's people who don't like his films, and these are the kind of idiot critics who are trying to control everybody else's thoughts. There's a lot of film critics out there who are out to character assassinate good filmmakers who make honest movies because they want filmmakers across the board to push their favoured narratives. And because S. Craig Zahler did Dragged Across Concrete, which one of the topics of that movie is racial conflict, but it shows the racial conflict from both sides, and it doesn't demonize one side. That is the mature approach to take when you're approaching the subject of racial conflict. But the people who criticised and attacked that movie and tried to destroy it, no, they wanted it to go one way. So that's part of the reason you haven't heard of S. Craig Zahler, is because his last film, which for me is his best, Dragged Across Concrete, that movie got suppressed big time. Apparently, it was blocked out of a lot of film festivals because there was like a character assassination that was done on the movie to try and portray it as right-wing. It's not. If you watch it, it's not. I would sit with anyone who claims that movie's right-wing, and I'd go through and say, come on, let's hear your arguments, and I would tear those arguments apart any day. Unfortunately, I don't think S. Craig Zahler is really going to get a lot of funding in Hollywood because he doesn't fit with their stupid narratives that they're always trying to portray with the movies. You know, that Hollywood has become like an activism thing. They're trying to push certain narratives instead of entertaining people. This guy wants to entertain people. The next one is Henry Dunham. He, as far as I know, has only made one feature film, and virtually none of you will have heard of this guy. His feature film, which he wrote and directed, is called Standoff at Sparrow Creek. This is excellent. Really good actors, very low budget. I think it cost $150,000 from what I read. But it's great. It's got a great story. It's got some great twists and surprises. Really good with the actors. Excellent dialogue. My only beef with that movie, and it is my only beef, is that sometimes the dialogue flows too fast and I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't mentally keep up and process the dialogue. It was moving too fast. So I think that's because the movie doesn't have a lot of physical action. So I think it was probably edited in a manner to try and keep people engaged. But I don't think it needed to do that. I think it could have been done a bit slower. I think the edit could have been spread out a little bit, have some more pauses between the lines so that the implications of the dialogue sinks in. But other than that, I thought Standoff at Sparrow Creek was a brilliant first feature, and I think this guy has got real potential. There's a lack of interviews with him from what I've seen. I searched around online, I couldn't find any hardly. I did find one sort of very low-level YouTube video that showed a brief interview with him, and he was talking about some aspects of how he writes scripts, and he said something extremely good, which I'd kind of got onto myself years ago, but I'd never mentioned it in any of my videos. And I was like, at last somebody's said it. He said, never have your characters say what the audience already knows. And that is a sign of really bad script writing. You know, you get the characters say things and you watch and you're thinking, well, I know that. Why are you having the characters say it? You know, and so he says never to do that. And that's a brilliant principle of script writing. This guy's got major future if he gets the funding. I did read somewhere that he's possibly on board to direct something else. I think some funding might have been put in place. But yeah, go and check out Standoff at Sparrow Creek. The next up is Jennifer Kent. She wrote and directed The Babadook. But yeah, Jennifer Kent, The Babadook was an excellent horror film. In an age when most horror films are crap, you got Ari Aster with Hereditary, fantastic. And you got Jennifer Kent, I think this is going back to 2012 actually. But, you know, I'm 50 years old, so 2012 is fairly recent for me. Jennifer Kent, very talented. Apparently she did one more feature film since then, which I haven't seen. I heard mixed opinions of it, but I can't comment on that but I don't know about it. But yeah, she is definitely talented. And again, like with Henry Dunham, like with S. Craig Zahler, like with Justin Kurzel, and like with Ari Aster, actually with all of these, all of them have produced a stunning first feature film. So yeah, she's brilliant. Another one, and unfortunately I think this guy's gone off the wayside a little bit, but he showed brilliant promise with his first movie, and I haven't liked the movies I've seen of his since. This guy's a British director called Christopher Smith. He did this little movie called Triangle. Not the most marketable name for a movie, and it was kind of a psychological David Lynchian type horror thriller set on a ship. I don't want to say much about the story because I don't want to spoil it for you, but his movie Triangle, which I think was from 2009, directed by Christopher Smith, check that movie out. It's well worth a watch. Hardly anybody's heard of it, but it deserves to have a lot more attention. The last one I've got on the list here, and actually I'm going to add one more after this, which I've just remembered, which would be criminal of me to not include this. Last one on the list here is the Safdie Brothers. They did a really good movie with Robert Pattinson called Good Time, like a crime thriller. Very low budget, low level film. That one was awesome. That was the first one of theirs I saw. I don't know if it was their first film, but I love that one. And they did Uncut Gems, you know, the Adam Sandler one about the jeweler guy with the gambling addictions and so on, and the very hot girlfriend and all that. That's a really, really good movie, Uncut Gems. So yeah, the Safdie Brothers, I've only seen 2 of their movies and I loved both of them. So they're really good. And the last director, the one I just remembered, I should have put on this list. Yeah, the last one on the list here, I don't know how the hell I forgot to put him on the list originally. But this guy is Robert Eggers. It's funny, I'm Robert Ager and he's Robert Eggers. But yeah, he did The Lighthouse, which was fantastic. Really, really unusual, original, loved it. He also did The Witch in 2015. I didn't like that as much, but it was decent. And he did The Northman since, which I haven't bothered watching because I saw the trailer and it just looked like he'd tried to do a straightforward commercial Hollywood movie, and I didn't like the look of it at all. But the first 2 films he did showed great promise. I do have a problem with those 2 movies, and that I could not watch them without the subtitles because the characters mumble their fucking dialogue so much. Why the hell an incredibly talented director would choose to have the characters speak in a way that you can't understand? This was a kind of a trend that went on way back in around 2013-ish, when movies were really crap. 2013 was like the worst fucking year on record as far as I'm concerned for movies. All the film techniques were terrible. It was excessive shaky cameras everywhere, and all the colours were deliberately wrong and stuff. Filmmaking was fucking terrible in 2013. Yet part of the trend that was going on at that time for many years was the thing of having actors speak in mumbled dialogue where you can't understand what they're saying, as if it makes it have more artistic value. Unfortunately, Eggers films that I've seen, the 2 of them I've seen, they do have this, and I wish he'd have the actors speak more clearly. But other than that, this guy's really good, talented, great scriptwriter, great director. So yeah, that's 8 directors. So we've got, just to recap, we've got Robert Eggers, we've got Justin Kurzel, Australian director, we've got Ari Aster, we've got Craig Zahler, we've got Henry Dunham, we've got Jennifer Kent, Christopher Smith, and the Safdie Brothers. Yeah, I mean, some of these are directors whose films first came out at around about maybe 2009, I think was the earliest one. Christopher Smith, Justin Kurzel, 2012 with their Snowtown. But yeah, they're all within the last like 15 years or so. So to me, they're like new directors. These are directors who I will watch a movie specifically because their name is on it. Maybe there's some other good ones. I mean, maybe there's some other directors that I forgot about. So let me know in the comments section, which of these directors do you really like and why? Which ones don't you like? What's coming up for them next? I haven't really checked on them all. And are there any other really good modern directors who I need to look out for? There are other old school directors who are still going, who I haven't mentioned here because they've been out for a long time. But yeah, they're not new school directors, so I haven't mentioned those. Okay, so that's it. Quick video. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.